Hello there. For this video we'll be looking at the problem too slow, which is a medium reverse engineering problem from this year's UnitedCTF. So let's see what the description says. So try to explore this binary and try to find the solution using Ghidra. You'll see that the Ghidra decompiler is not very useful to understand what the program does, but maybe you'll have an idea. Try to find the weakness in its workings. Hint: try to learn about LD preload. You will need to use it to solve this challenge in the easiest manner. So no spoilers, but that's probably what we're gonna do. So let's download it. Move downloads to slow dot. So let's take a look at LD preload trick example. So this is what I use when I solved it, and I took a look at this article. It explains everything in detail. So basically what LD preload does is enables you to write your own implementation of standard library functions. So this can be very useful to override the behavior of programs you're analyzing. So why is that useful for too slow? Let's first look at what's wrong. So yeah, let's look at what our program does. So if we run it, you'll see that it prints text, waits a certain amount of time, it prints text, waits again. So basically it's using the sleep function right there. I know this because I've looked at it before, but to prove it to you, we can go here, open it in Ghidra, and see what it actually does. Don't take my word for it, take God's word for it. Or Ghidra, should I say. So let's find our main. Is there search here? Guess not. Ah, here it is. No, that's not the one we want. Okay. So we have our main here. We can look at this. There's a bunch of stuff happening. It can seem scary, but let's assume that most of it is not useful for our purposes. So Mercine Twister engine is some encryption stuff, normal iterator, blah 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 blah. It seems like C++, CXX, maybe not, I don't know. Doesn't matter. So more encryption. So an interesting part here is this. So we have a variable declared to 99999, and while this variable is bigger than -1, we do this loop, and here it is decremented. So we know that this loop is done 100,000 times, and there's a U sleep here, and it's like a few seconds, basically the time that is waited. So when it's printing the text, we can assume that it's like iterating in this loop, and it's gonna take like 100,000 iterations. That's why the problem is called too slow, right? So if we could remove the sleep somehow to make the problem way quicker, right? And we could try to understand like how it decrypts, but it's like a bunch of crypto functions, and I don't want to play with this. Like, this is no fun. Maybe it's not that bad, but it's way simpler to just remove the sleep, right? But how do we do it? Well, that's when the LD preload comes into question. So here is using like some file writing as an example, but here you can see he overwrites the read function, and then he compiles as a shared library, and then he points LD preload to the injected library when he executes his binary. So let's look at it. Let's take a look. If we want to overwrite usleep, what do we do? Well, somewhere he says you just need to copy the same signature as what is said in the man page. So let's search for usleep. So we have it right here. It returns an int and takes u seconds t. This type, I don't know where it comes from. I can just replace it with int and hope that it works, right? So let's copy this. So it's going to be r sleep instead of u sleep. So this, and basically instead of sleeping, we just want it to do nothing, right? So this should, should move it r sleep.c. And let's take what they show us in the article. I'm skimming over it because I've already read it, but I can put in the description so you can take the time to read it on your own. So this is what we want here. It's going to compile the file as a shared library that can be referenced from LD preload afterwards. So rsleep.c. So it doesn't find that type and I have no idea where it's stored. So what I did in the CTF is just replace it with an int and it ended up working. So I don't know what's the problem with that. I don't know C enough to tell you. So we have our inject here. So here's what we can do. We can copy this, take the inject, instead of executing out, we execute too slow. Now we pray, and you see now it's not sleeping, it's just iterating 100,000 times, and if we're lucky, there may be another problem. So you saw here there was the use sleep. So if we go back to the main function, if we go back, okay. So we have our sleep here. Here there's another sleep. I don't know if it's gonna be problematic, but it seems like it is. So we can go ahead and override sleep as well. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's the same signature. So LD preload, we can go and do this again. And now it skips the second sleep and it gives us the flag right here. Crazy, right? So anytime, and it works especially for C, I don't know, like for other languages, if the same trick applies, if there's similar stuff, but you can pass in LD preload and like reference any shared library and it's gonna load them before the standard library, so you can like write your own implementations if you want to. So you can control the behavior of the application. Of course, if there would be like other ways of like rewriting the code itself to like put no ops instead, but that would be much more involved. So there's always many ways to do something, but we can consider this the simplest, and it's a nice trick to know. So that's all for this problem. Bye bye.